Yes, sir.
Yeah, super. Okay, Rohit and Raghav. So the case is this, right? So it's like a magic bricks kind of a business. Okay. So what the business does is it has to generate hot qualified leads for real estate projects. Okay. And this is a company which works only with this, does not do rental and stuff. It only lists um, new projects from builders to buyers. That's all. New project building, new project buying. That's all they do. Okay, that's the business. So they have to. The objective of the business is to generate hot qualified leads for real estate projects. How do they get the contracts? Builders sign up. So they sign up for a sales contract saying, "You give me so many leads, I'll give you so much money." So they give the money, but the money becomes revenue only when you deliver leads. Or sometimes we deliver leads and then go and collect the money. That's the business. Lead source. How do I generate the qualified lead? So there is a portal where there are listings. People come to the portal and then they want to check out some properties. They put their phone numbers and then view the properties. From there, we know who is interested in what kind of property of what area. Okay. So based on that, we know, okay, here are 100 people who are interested in properties around this area with so and so budget and so many such and such design. Okay. Based on that, the objective of the operations team is to call leads interested in unpaid projects. So that when they come and search on the portal, some of them would search for projects for which the builder is paid. Okay, so that directly we can connect that number to the builder and then the builder will pay for us. But 90% of the people who come may not look at the project for which you are paid. They will be interested in projects for which there is no sales contract. Okay, and that will be 90% of them. So how do we, but what they need is possibly there in the paid projects also. So how do you convert them, call them, get them interested in this project and connect them? That is the objective of the business. That is the objective of the operations. You guys with me? I will go to the next slide.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as a ops manager of this team, your job is to increase the number of uh, leads, qualified leads or paid leads that you generate. That's the objective. Okay. So I put in metrics here. So this is when I took over this as an assignment. The baseline was that we had about a count of 20 people, and we used to do about 10. Each person used to do about 10 leads per week. 10 leads, paid leads per week. So it's generating about 10. So typically builders pay about 800 rupees a lead. So that's about 8,000 rupees is what you make per person. Okay, that's roughly where it was. In like 3 months after we made this transformation, the same team, same headcount with a few people changed. Okay, leads per week was 50. 5x improvement in a span of 3 months. Okay, and from 200 leads generated per week, we went to about 1,000 leads. Okay, and when I actually joined and then looked at the process and what they were doing, and then in a week's time, I told the manager, you can actually do 1,000 per week. She laughed at me. Who is this crazy guy? What is he saying? But we actually made it happen. So now we'll look at, so before I get into asking you questions, right? So if this is the situation, this is a problem, where will you start? Suppose you are the call center manager. You have to move it from, say, 10 leads per person per week to a 50 lead. Okay, that's a target given to you. Okay, so where will you start? I will also show you how to get to the answer also.
I think first understanding what is the process as of now and what is the drop happening. What is the drop reason that is happening?
Okay,
Analyze
that's a good point. Yeah. What are the reasons for which people are not converting? Yes, that's a good one. Yes.
And then figure out a solution for all the reasons. What can be the solution that can be given? Accordingly, prepare a script or an answer for all of those reasons, and train the team again to whenever they face such kind of reasons again or situations again.
How do you handle it? How do you convert it?
So the first thing is, I just want to understand about the team whether they got about the product or whether they understood about the product. They have a picture
Their
about the
knowledge of the
product.
product. Okay.
Product, yes,
Uh,
because
uh,
that is the main thing which can be helpful to bring the customers in
Understood.
the first place.
Understood. Any other thought before we get into the actual solving? Both the answers that you gave are right. Okay, but it is very limited. Okay, the reason is, and it is very nice when I hear such an answer. I'm really happy because you take your job very seriously, the two of you. So you look at the job from the angle that you know, but not from all the angles, and that's what goes missing. You understand? So when we go to the solution, you will suddenly realize there are multiple angles to this problem, whereas you are trying to solve it only from what you can do instead of looking at the broader picture. Many times when you change a few things in the broader picture, a lot of what you need to do become less but still becomes effective. You will see it in the when we go to the answer. So that broader thinking is what goes missing in a lot of operations people who are growing from a doer to a manager of a doer and are struggling to shift to a designer and definer stage. Okay, and that thinking is what we need to learn in these sessions. So every week I'll be bringing a new problem and we will be going through this process. So hopefully maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, whatever time it takes, if you keep coming, at some point you will know, how to do this. Okay, and that's my hope and that's my sincere belief, and hence I am doing this. Okay, so now let's go to how to do this. Okay, so step by step we will go, right? First is to understand the process, like what Rohit said, but with a slightly different twist. Okay, the twist is what I call as flow. Okay, I emailed you a PDF. Okay, if you have read this PDF, do it. If you have not read it, it's okay, read it tomorrow. It's for you. In that there is a method. It's actually a guide. It shows steps. Do this, do this, do this. So the same steps is what we are going to follow here. Okay? First is to understand the flow. Flow is not just the process, not the details of the process, but a very high level process flow. But before we understand the process flow, we need to first decide what is the flow unit. Flow unit is the item that you are transforming or changing. It enters your process and goes out as a product. So in this case, what is the flow unit between the two of you? See, unless we break our brain and participate, we won't learn. So hence I keep pushing you guys to answer, please. And it's just three of us. You can answer. What is the
From
flow unit in this case?
lead to conversion? Is
Yeah,
that what
lead is the flow unit. Flow unit is the
yeah.
lead, the number, right? Correct, Rohit. Lead is
Yes,
the flow unit. Okay. Conversion is the process. Lead to conversion is the process. Is the flow process. Flow unit. What is the unit that is flowing? If you take an assembly line, a chassis comes in and gets out as a car. So a flow unit is a chassis. Correct, na? Similarly, in this
yes,
transformation, your flow unit is the lead. You guys with me?
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now go to the next one. What is the start point? For this flow, what is the start point? Take a guess. Take a guess.
Uh,
Start point would be understanding the lead flow itself?
No, no. Start point for the process. So somebody is putting the number,
Huh.
then you're picking the number and then you're dialing them and then it gets connected. What is the start point? When the person comes to the website and gives a number and says, I'm interested in these projects, is that the start point? Or you decide to call the guy and pick that number, is that the start point? Or you call and the call gets connected? What is the start point?
I think
the calling is the start point.
Okay. What about you, Rohit? What do you think?
the point where the lead comes in.
Yes, the point where the lead comes in is the start point. Okay, and there are differences in approach. See, the getting the start point right is very important. Okay, so stepwise, if you have when you get a problem like this, saying hey, you have to improve this from here to here. First step is to find out what is the flow unit. The next point is to say for the process, what is the start point? When does the flow unit start its journey? And determining the right start point will change the approach completely. Okay. So the answers that the two of you gave for improving the process when we started off, right? I'm just pointing it out in terms of how to think, right? So the answers both of you gave, imagine the start point to be after the call is connected. Both your
Yeah,
suggestions.
correct,
One is
correct.
of
Yes.
saying, hey, I will see where the drop off reasons is. There, you mentally, implicitly, in your mind, the start point was once the call is connected. Correct. Raghav said we need to know about the products and how well they know the products. That is again once you start talking. Okay. But actually, the start point is when the person, what like Rohit said, when the person gave the number. Right? Why is that start point important? Because when the person comes and puts the number, you call him immediately within 1 or 2 hours. The chances of him answering is high. The more time goes, connectivity ratio goes down, which means you don't even get a connect. Then when how are you going to convert? Okay. As a business, people will say the tech guys will keep coming and saying, in my traffic, I got so much traffic and so many phone numbers I've collected. Operations is not able to convert. Have you heard this kind of statements before?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Marketing
Yes,
says,
sir.
hey, I got so many leads, but you are not converted. Right?
Actually,
Yeah, it happens because mostly ops people start thinking from the time it comes to them. But actually, even before the time it comes to you, a lot of damage has happened. Okay. But if you are responsible for the delivery, you need to start from the start point and also control that. Okay. So possible, not possible is secondary one, but for understanding, you should need to start a start point. So start point is where? Start point is when the lead was given. Now end point. What is the end point? You know it. Take a guess. Yeah, come on, guys. Is this two of us?
conversion.
Conversion.
Conversion. Yes, correct. Conversion is the end point. But is that the only end point? Raghav?
Point for the flow,
Uh,
the
Endpoint for
entire.
the flow, but the flow can have more than one endpoints.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where
It
the
could
next mistake is.
in this
the feedback, and the again restart of it. So maybe the overall continuous.
reference.
Yeah, Raghav.
Yes, yes. Please, please. Rohit, please go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry for interruption.
No problem. Raghav. சொல்லுங்க Raghav.
Uh, so after the conversion starts, the endpoint will be a closing of the reference, taking from that.
Yes, closing of the reference or saying whether it's a failure point. Okay, one of the
Yes.
biggest mistakes that I find everywhere, not just I mean in any business I go in, I find this problem in operations is not just operations, even in sales, is when you get a lead or a conversion thing, we are always tracking the success metric, which is successful endpoints. And we always work on defining successful endpoint, but we never define a failure endpoint. We say success minus everything is failure. Okay. And we don't force something to go to failure, especially in sales kind of process. If a lead is opened, we always keep it open forever. We don't put a timeline to say 1 week this should either become successful or it becomes failure, but I might use it again. That is a different process. But as per this conversion process is there, this has failed. In this cycle, it has failed. Okay. So anything that comes into the system should either go into a success or a failure. Failure endpoints are never defined. Rohit, what is your experience? Have you ever seen anybody defining this is a failure point?
No, sir. Yeah.
Okay. And why this is important is unless so what happens is in operations, you assign this to people. You assign bunch of cases to people. Correct. So how do you measure that person's ability? And how do you compare different people's ability and give intervention? Only when you know what is the success rates. Okay. So you also need to know the failure rates. Unless you have a failure endpoint and measure, if I give 30 to this person, 30 to that person, how many is this guy making fail and how many is the other guy making fail? Then you know what you need to do. So the analysis that you were talking about at the process level is very hard. But at a person level, it's easy and can be done by a supervisor. Okay. So in your design, you need to always have a failure endpoint. That's the third thing that you need to do. So failure endpoint in this case would be after 30 to 60 days, 60 to 90 days, 90 to 120 days, 120 to 180 days. This is the time that you need to 3 continuous attempts, somebody is not picking, it's a cold lead, needs to be tried differently at a different time. So that's one failure. Connection meaning connection. After speaking, the guy says, I'm not interested in buying, not now, or I have already bought. These are all cold leads. Okay. Success is when conversion happens. Cold and dead leads are the second points. Unconnected will go back to the start point and start, but that's also an end point. Now you understand? So unless you define this, how do you know out of the 10 or 20 people who are calling, who is good, who is bad? Okay, it can't just be on the number of successful conversions he has done, but out of how much. So you don't need to put percentage. Percentage is a very difficult number to comprehend for operations people, especially the frontline people. You tell them so many you have failed, so many you have succeeded. Number of failures more than number of success, so you are not good. That is easy to understand. You get a flow. So this definition is extremely important for you to make things easier for your people to understand. You with me? And this is what I did.
Yes.
Right? Then who is the customer for this process? Then the fourth question that you need to answer is, who is the customer for this process? Is it the lead, the person who gave the number, or is the builder? Any guess?
Lead is the customer.
Okay, Raghav. Rohit?
So I think customer is somebody that we are working for. Builder, is it? I think should
Yeah,
be
builder. Builder is the customer. He is the one who pays for it. Okay. See, this again becomes very tricky in a service environment. Okay. The lead is a supplier actually, but you need to manage suppliers also. There is expectation on the supplier side as well as the customer side. Your customer is a builder. Okay. But the lead is a supplier. But if you don't treat the supplier well, he's not going to be with you. And then hence you cannot meet your customer need. Okay. So here, all that you do to make the lead happy or the footfall people who have come to search for it happy is a way to get supply. We should not get confused here. That clarity is important. Okay. Let's say you are a retailer, you're buying stuff and then selling it to common people. You're buying stuff from a vendor, right? If the vendor is not happy, he can stop supply. Even if you have customers, you don't have a business, right? Hence, you have to pay the lead vendor on time. You have to talk to him properly. You have to give him the proper lead time. You can't keep pushing him. So there are so many things that you need to keep a supplier happy. Okay. So in this case, like Rohit said, builder is the customer. Lead is a supplier. That clarity is important. Okay. But we have to service both. When we are doing business, we have to service both. And that also needs to be understood. Next comes the big one. Here is where you map the process. After knowing all these 4 stages, 5th stage is where you will map the process, where you say, what are the high level transformation stages? Okay. When I didn't say process steps, I said transformation changes. Means you will define something as a step only if it is transforming the input. Okay. It's a little complicated, so I'm going to give you the answer and then show you how it is done, right? So answer is, okay, somehow I forgot to add the answer here. Okay, I'll tell you what are the transformation steps. First is the lead gets created. Okay. Then the first transformation stage is you deciding which leads to be called tomorrow. The lead needs to be picked for calling. Correct? That is the first transformation step. Selecting leads for calling. The next transformation stage is dial out. So you can have a manual dialer or you can have the individuals dialing. So you allocate the numbers to different people. Even that is a transformation step. Why? Because depending on when you call the person or who you allocate the number to, your outcomes can be different. So the transformation, it is a transformation, right? So that's a transformation. The first transformation is whether the lead gets picked for calling or not. And when does it get picked? If it gets picked very late, it is anyway dead. If it gets picked on time and called, it is good, right? So First is picking, next is dialing, then is conversion, fourth is delivery. There are 4 steps, high level, because in each step, things get transformed. But numbers can be there in between each of these stages. Okay. Those are also steps, but those are all wait stages. The reason why in flow we define it as transformation and wait stages, waiting reasons you need to find and keep reducing. Transformation is the actual work done, and that is where you have to focus. That is what you need to make better. You don't want to make improvements at the wait stages. Wait stages have to be eliminated or reduced. Okay, so the target for the different steps are different. Any doubts, questions here before we move? So you got the 4 stages. Do you want me to repeat the 4 stages, or are you clear?
Sir, wait stage, as in what exactly, sir?
Okay, so for example, say something has been picked for calling, but for some reason it was not dialed. That will be where it will be waiting, picked but
Yes,
not called.
got it. Yeah,
Okay, something is dialed, but it was not reached.
got it. Got it. Understood. Understood. Sure.
Those are all wait stages. Now, those have to be eliminated. You don't improve it, you have to eliminate those.
But
Correct?
only way to
Yes.
improve is by calling them again, isn't it? Like if people are not responding.
Correct. You have to call them again, is definitely there. But the point is, you can actually do an ML or something to say, how do I identify the right time to call different numbers so that in the first attempt only I'm able to call, so that the number of numbers going into 3 attempts and still not touched reduces. You get what I'm saying?
Got it, sir. Got it. Understood, sir. Understood.
Okay, so that thought process is what will improve the overall throughput. So the whole flow mechanism, okay, is designed to increase throughput. My throughput is what? Conversions. Everything has to focus on how does the conversion increase. In between things, I don't care. Okay, so it's all throughput focus, and that's why it is defined into transformation stage and wait stages. Okay, across any flow unit can be on a transformation stage or in a wait stage. When it's in transformation stage, somebody is working on it. When it's on wait stage, it is in limbo between 2 stages for whatever reasons. This is a very critical concept. So, Raghav, you understood?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, super. Okay, now let's go to the next process. Okay, so now the first 5 questions when you have answered the first 5 questions, you have understood the lay of the land. You have understood what is happening here. Okay, and next is deciding the timing factor. Okay, time to reach the lead. How long would a lead be interested in the portal? Okay, what is the time? So in this case, it's an outbound sales process, so slightly different. But let's say you're running a clinic. Okay, how long would a patient wait before he walks to another clinic? It's a critical metric. Okay, and that is a very important time. Okay, what is the time? And that time you cannot measure from your process. You will have to do a query, you need to do a poll, find from industry standards and stuff like that. So for every customer has a threshold beyond which the person will not wait. Okay, your process needs to be defined. The time that a flow unit spends within your system should be half of this time. If it is more than half of this time, your chances of converting will keep reducing drastically. Is that thing clear?
Yes, sir. Got it. Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do you find this? You cannot find this from internally. You need to find it from externally. You will do a survey, you will speak to people, or you will do research and look at reports and then find out. Okay. This is an external metric. That's the first one. Second is ideal time to reach half is half time that it takes the lead to lose interest, right? So half the time time that you found in the first step is your target. And that's where you should design your process to be. When you first start up, the process may be there, may not be there, but your approach should be to reach this 50% of what you found in the first step. If you can do it, 90% of the leads will convert.
So the time to reach lead is for every transformation stage?
It's from the start point.
But at every stage we define the time?
No. For the end to end.
End to end. Okay. Okay. Sure.
End to end. It's purely end to end.
Okay.
Which process step affects time to reach? So then you find in these 4 steps, high level transformation steps that you have designed, okay, which step has the highest impact on the time for conversion? Okay, in this process, in the current case that we are discussing, it is the lead selection and dialogue strategy that affects the time to reach, not necessarily the talking. Conversion is more affected by selection and dialogue strategy than by actual talking itself. Surprise, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Most ops people think, what can I do? Right? And that's where, and this is where as ops, and even the business people think like this, because we are the ones who are calling. Okay. And that's where when a smart ops guy, when he comes up and then breaks it down like this and shows it to people and say, hey, this is where the lead is sleeping and it is losing time. You need to fix this. And this is what I fixed. Okay, I'll tell you how I fixed later. So in this case, lead selection and dialogue strategy is a thing, because if I don't pick a lead for say 5 days, 6th day I call anyway, it is dead. And when do I call is also another one, right? At what time will be available, and a whole bunch of smartness can be put into that, which makes that whole dialing experience itself great. Okay, that was spending more time. That was taking more time than actually calling and speaking. The speaking is only about 6 minutes. You get the point. So how to think about it, right? Then comes, that's for the supplier side. Now for the customer side, how long does a business builder wait for creating a lead? So a builder has contracted you. In the first few weeks, if you are not, first few days, if you are not able to give him leads, he's not going to remember you. And in 2 weeks time, he will actually revoke the contract and say, I don't want it. Okay. Within the first 2 weeks, you should generate some leads. That's a constraint for you. Okay. Which properties would you prioritize? And this is another one. Okay. Would you prioritize the builder's need, or would you prioritize what the leads need? How would you approach this? These are questions to be answered. Otherwise, you can't solve the problem.
I think whatever the customer says,
Who's the customer?
builder.
Yes. You will prioritize builder, but in a way that it meets the leads requirement. So the whole exercise then becomes, hey, here is the number of projects where I actually need leads. Here is the universe of leads. How do I match the two and find, only pick those leads who are one fresh and are interested in areas and types of projects for which I have paid builders. You need to have an algo to pick that, which is exactly what we did. We actually, I got a ML guy to write a code which every day looks at the entire data pool and selects leads which are interested in the area and the type of projects that we have, but they have seen somebody else. Okay, and prioritizes them as per the age that they have spent in and how many times we have already called them. Okay, so, and it also puts a priority number and the dialer calls out as per the priority number. And it also takes into account, like last time when we called, at what time period the connect happened. That also is recorded. Okay, so when you do that, then the dialer has 3 inputs. Between 10 to 11, which all numbers to be called and in what order. And it starts dialing. Okay. Simple, this one simple solution increased my connect percentage and conversion percentage by 50%. One simple stuff. Okay. And then, but then I did 5 times, which is 500%. So where is the remaining 90% improvement? You will see. You guys with me so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any questions, Raghav or Rohit?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, super.
No, sir.
Okay. Then comes your capacity. Okay. Now you know what is the process and what you need to do. Then you'll have to also look at, do I have sufficient capacity? One. Two, is the capacity good enough for whatever I'm trying to do? Three, that is installed capacity. what you have. How is my utilization on a daily basis? Okay. And how do we ensure that daily utilization is met? These are 4 critical questions. Okay. So average call time for each connected call in this case was 6 minutes. Once it gets connected, and we had an auto dialer. So 6 minutes is what it takes. Okay. So can we roughly calculate how many calls 20-member calling team working 8 hours should do? 6 minutes means in an hour they can do about 10 calls. Right? They work about, each member works about 8 hours, and then there are 20 people. So what would be the number? Do a quick math. 200 into 8, 160, yeah? 1,600.
1,600, sir. 1,600.
1,600. No, actually, it's not 1,600. It will be lesser. The reason is calling, no? Your ops people. When you ask people to call, if they speak for more than 6 hours, they'll get tired. Next day, they will bunk. They'll fall sick. So maximum you can make a person talk is for 6 hours. Okay, so from 8 it goes to 6.
120, 1,200.
1,200. Yes, 1,200 calls is what maximum you can get in a day. Okay, is 1,200 good enough? That depends on what is your current conversion rate. Okay, so if you want to have, so you need to have, so it's like this. So how do we come up with the target? What is the first level of target? What's the second level of target? What's the third level of target? So when you set target, you need to operations, you need to put it as target as first, second, and third level. I'll explain these 3 parts. Okay. First level of target is when your variable costs are equal to the revenue you are generating, especially sales teams. Okay. So you pay about 1,000 rupees per person per day. You have 20 people. So that's about 20,000 rupees you are spending. Okay. So you get about 800 rupees per, say, let's keep it as 1,000. Say, let's say you get 1,000 rupees per converted call. Okay. So how many you need to make? You need to make 20 conversions to break even. So that's your first target. 20,000 is what you're spending, plus the manager cost and other things. If you put, say, let's put a 30, another, say, 30% on top of it. Okay. 30% would be about 6. So 26,000 is what you're spending per day. That 26,000 you have to recover on that day. Then you break even. Then the second level target is you need to make a 50% margin on top of it. Okay. So 26 ka 15 is 13. So 26 plus 13 is 39 conversions you need to get for running a 20-member team. That's when you will make money. Are you with me in terms of numbers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, if you don't think like this, what will happen is the business will put a random number on top. Okay. Then you are not in control. Then you are doing what they are asking for. And more often than not, that number will be much lower. Okay. It will not be 39. It will come to around 25, 20, 30, whatever I have seen. Nobody thinks like that. I've been a COO. I've also been a CEO. So I know how business should work. So hence I'm doing this calculation. So you have to think how to make money. Anything that is making money, and Raghav has heard this from me when he used to work with me. I always used to say, hey, this is what you are spending on your team. Every month you see if you are making this much. If you're making this much, then your team is alive. Otherwise, I will sack your team. In fact, I've told him in so many words. Okay. And that's how business thinks. Okay. The minute you master this, you know what kind of targets you need to set your team internally, and then go talk to business and saying, hey, this is where you will make money. So hence I'm doing this. And we can do this much more if you give me ABC. They will always give you. And that's how you win and go from being a manager of doers to becoming a designer and becoming a business guy. Is it fair? Any questions? Anyone?
So actually, up to the break-even point, I'm okay with that. So after the break-even point, you said the 50% of the target should be advanced. I mean, just want clarification on that part.
Okay, 50% is because, see, you understood the clarification on 30% for the break-even point.
Yes,
Team
yes,
cost
sir.
plus 30% because the managerial overhead.
Right, sir.
Okay, so if there are 20-member team, 20-member team cost into 1.3 is your break-even point, correct?
Right.
You need to have a 50% margin on anything because there is sales, ops, and other overheads that is going to be on top of it.
Okay, okay.
Okay, and that's when the net profit of the business will land at around 18 to 20 percentage.
Got it. Yeah.
You need to make a net profit, right?
Yes, actually.
So the net profit will arrive at around 10 to 15% if you add a 50% gross margin.
Got it.
Got it? Because there is tech, there is sales, there is marketing, there's so many other things. And when an ops guy starts thinking in this way, when there's nobody stopping him in terms of his ability to grow or even create a business and run, right? So that's the switch in thing. Any other questions you have? So because we are just two of us, so I can spend as much time as you guys like to make this more and more clear. And when we do more and more cases every week, this will get even more clear to you as we go along. Okay, got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now the next question comes is, so how would you measure the output of the team on a daily basis? So you will measure the output when saying two ways. How will you measure the output of a calling team?
Call pickup rate and conversion.
No, talk time. Pickup rate doesn't matter, no? Talk time.
Okay,
because in this case, the more the talk time,
the
higher the conversion.
Yes, right.
Right? Talk time is what we want to see. And pickup rate, see, if you measure pickup rate, what happens is the guy will be more bent on picking more calls. That is not serving you purpose, no?
Yeah, yes, it makes sense. Totally. Yes, sir.
Right? Conversion is the output metric, but the input metric is how much is he speaking? Has he spoken for 6 hours? How many calls he spoke doesn't matter.
Got it.
Right? Because the other guy is not going to talk to one person for 6 hours, right? So that will take care of itself. That's the smartness. Okay. And for a frontline guy, if you put more than 2 metric, he will always get confused. You have to keep it as simple as that. I want you to talk as much as you want and talk and do whatever it takes on the call to convert the person. Talk as much as you want. Engage. Okay. Number of calls doesn't matter. You need to only hit so many in a day. Okay. And that is, we will come to that also in a while. Okay. But how do you ensure? So that's the output you measure. But how do you ensure the daily target is met? See, putting target is one. How do you ensure the target is being met? This is also important.
So we can have a stand-up or meeting every day to understand.
Every day is too late. That's the whole point, which is why this question is there. So the way to do it, and because Raghav has worked with me, he knows this. So Rohit, the way to do this is, the right way of doing it is, I paint Raghav every 1 hour.
Every hour, yes.
Because your target is daily. So this is called, level of scrutiny. Okay, level of scrutiny is always one level lower. If your target is weekly, you will measure it daily. One day you miss, the next day you can make up. Your target is daily, you have to measure it at hourly.
Got it.
Because if you miss 1 hour, you can definitely do something and make up in the second hour. But if you miss the whole day, the day is lost, no?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the level of scrutiny concept. So you should get that right. Leads. Then comes the planning. So now you know the capacity, how many you have. Then comes, so you have the capacity. There are 20-member people sitting there, but calls not coming. Will you be able to meet the target? No. So if you have to meet the target, then you need to have the right input. Okay. In the flow process, first we defined the flow. Then we said what are the targets. Then we are looking at the inputs. First input is capacity, calling capacity. Second input is leads. Okay, this slide is about inputs. Second is leads. So then you need to know how many leads have to be there and what is the connect ratio. So if the lead connects, so we said 1,200 calls is what is the capacity. Correct, na? In the previous calculation.
Yes.
1,200 calls. If the connect ratio is only 30%, how many leads needs to be picked the previous day? 3 times that. 3,600, close to about 4,000 leads you have to pick. Correct. Provided 4,000 leads are of the brand new kind. If they are aged leads, the connectivity will be lower. Okay, so somebody has to adjust for it and pick as many leads. So you have to roughly pick about 4,000 to 5,000 leads. If you don't start the day with those many leads and scheduler is set correctly for calling those leads in different hours, will you be able to call? You won't be able to meet the target.
No.
Correct. So now you understand how an outbound calling process depends more on the dialer strategy than on actual conversion. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Actually,
So
yes, sir.
yeah. So now you have fixed the input. So you what are the inputs? Two inputs: calling capacity and leads. If on any day your capacity on calling number of team members, say for some reason you have only 10 people, not 20, your capacity is gone. Your output will not get met. So then you will have to on another day do a 50% extra overtime or something and make up for the 10% loss. Correct? Now you understand how you can make up instead of letting it go. Now you have a method saying, hey, this day I had only 10%, 10 people instead of 20. So I am short by 10. I cannot meet this. So where do I make it up? And you make an alternate plan and you make it up. That way you will never miss your number, monthly number. You're getting a hang of how to think about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, how many leads? So this is the second input. Then comes the process. This is the thing that both of you were talking about when we started. When I asked, how will you solve this problem? You straight away went to the process. Okay. Here is where the team skill, talk time. The longer the talk time, what will you measure? Talk time you will measure, because the longer the talk time, higher the chances of conversion. Sales skill, after talking, his ability to convert to a paid project. He might be talking, but so these are the two skills that you need. Okay. So what do you teach? You teach them how to engage, how to talk about things, how to keep the customer engaged, and then how to nudge them towards conversion. These are the two things that you need to train the people on. Okay, which is what Rohit was talking about, which is what so Rohit was talking about the first part, drop, and Raghav was talking about the second part, knowing which product, understanding the product so that they can convert. They can talk about the project and convert. So the two things that you spoke about is the process, which is what most ops people get obsessed about, and they stick only to this. They don't look beyond this. And that unfortunately stops them from growing. And which is the one, if you have to take one change from today's call, is this what you need to take. Saying, how do I look at a larger thing than just one small narrow stuff? You can do this much, you already made the biggest step towards growth. Then you have to set a target. Okay. So what should be the target for each advisor on talk time? 6 hours. Straightforward, no?
Yes.
And what should be the conversion target? This is also straightforward. We said we need a 30-name conversion and we have 20 people. So 40, if you take it as 42 conversion per person minimum. Okay. Now, here is where the trick starts. So are you with me? 2 conversions per person because we have 20 people. Correct?
Yeah.
No?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes, sir.
okay. So 2 conversions per person is the stuff, right? So that's got done. Now, how do we incentivize? And why do I need incentivization? So will everybody be able to do 2 every day? Not possible. There will always be variation. Okay. There will be some few good guys who can do 2 every day, and there will be a few guys who will do 3 sometime, 2 sometime, 1 sometime, like that. Correct? But on a day, everyone doing 2 will not happen. So you need somebody to heavy lift while somebody is slacking. And this is natural because it's people. Even without people, there will always be variation. Incentivizing, if done correctly, will cover up for this. And that's why you need incentive. You understand why incentivization has to be used. Unlike
Yes,
how we think about it normally in ops. You know how you think about it. I've been part of many of these conversations. Okay, so being an ops head in my team is not easy. When it comes with an investigative plan, I always twist it and ask questions and they get stuck. Because the thought process is not clear. Rohit and Raghav, everything is here. If your thought process is clear and clean, streamlined, you can convert everything and you can convert everyone. So it is a lot of the work is here in your head. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to give you frameworks to get your thought process clean and clear. Stick with me. Do this every week with me for multiple cases. You will get it. Okay. So incentivization, how do we do it is this. How do you create a pull? How do you make, there are 2 reasons why you need incentivization. One is, how do you create an excitement in work, which makes people try to do their best every day. You need an external stimulus. Okay? Next, and that's the reason why you need an incentivization. That is for the people. But for me, for the business, why do you need incentivization? Is to normalize for the variation in people. Okay. So in this case, the incentive that I did, I'll explain the logic to you. So every case, when we do, you will understand this. So I told you we pay about 1,000 rupees and we get about 1,000 rupees, 1,000 rupees per day to the person. That's the rough cost. And 1,000 rupees is what I get for one lead. So if the person makes 2 leads, okay, I made money on that person. So the base target for everybody was 2 leads minimum, 2 conversion per day. Okay. For 2 conversions, no incentive. After the second conversion, the third conversion, they get about 200 rupees per lead that they convert. Okay. So the third and the fourth, they get 200 rupees. The fifth one, they get 600 rupees. So that everybody tries to get the fifth, which is a bumper price. That's an important structure. Any incentive structure should have a jackpot. Why? A lot of people will try for the jackpot. Very few will hit, but in the process, many people will go beyond 2 and hit. You with me, Rohit?
Yes, sir. Just one question.
Yes.
If for example there are 20 people and the overall sum comes to 40 only, even though while we are giving incentives, we will be at
because
loss.
not everybody will make 2 every day. Yeah?
I agree, but total if coming to still 40, we will, and we keep on, like, if we give incentives, should there be a condition that this many like total should happen, or like, or there is a
No, that
penalty
target is
wherein
there. That condition is there for you. You have to deliver 40.
if that doesn't happen, then penalty shall we keep, or
No,
like,
no penalty. Incentive में penalty, never put penalty unless there is just for a illegal, undesired behavior and those kind of stuff.
got it. Okay.
Okay, never put a penalty. So I get your point. So how will the management agree to this? The reason is, so when you put an incentive, so 2 parts, right? So you will see how many people are. So the measure for the supervisor, which is the team leaders and the manager of the team, is how many members in your team are making incentives. Their target is not the average of the team score. Their target is how many people are not making incentive, how many have made big incentives. Okay. His job is to make the person better, not take credit for the average sales. So then he will focus on the weaklings and make them work or kick them.
Got it.
Understood. So that's one point. Second, this puts excitement. Okay. Now this excitement alone is not enough. Okay. Now comes the third part. So when we Raghav has seen this in action, so I'm not. This is more for you, but he has seen this in action. We have discussed this multiple times. So when you do an incentive, especially in operations, right? Not everybody comes to office for money. Not everybody is driven by work. A lot of the people in ops, almost 70-80% of what you get in ops, the workforce, will not be motivated by work. Their motivation lies outside work. Okay. So in that case, how do you motivate them? Money is not going to motivate them. Tricky problem, no? So here is what we did. So we said, if the guy makes 2 conversions, I make the money on him. Correct, na?
Yes, sir.
So I said, irrespective of when you complete, if you finish 2 conversions, you can go home. You don't need to sit in the office.
No. Got it.
So now there is an incentive for him to complete. Every call he is looking, is this the one? Is this the one? Is this the one? And he's giving all his might to get it done. Because and you can go home how? They ring a bell and then go home. So that others know that this guy is going home.
That's group work together.
Actually, so even others will get motivated on this by seeing this attitude.
Raghav has seen this in action. So one of the calls, outbound sales teams, this is what we did. We said make 5. In that case, the payoffs are smaller. So they had to do 5 minimum to go home. People were just doing 5, ringing the bell and going home at 11. They start at 9. A bunch of guys used to go home at 11. I don't care. See, for me, I have paid them salary and I got what I need for the salary. Go home. Now you understand incentivizing?
Yes, sir.
So now, so let's recap, right? So you define a flow for you to understand what it is. Then you define the time part because that's critical. Okay. Then we define what are the inputs. Then we came to, and how do you control the inputs? Which input has to be controlled and how much we need to plan for? How much inputs needs to be planned? What capacity? What leads? Inputs have to be planned for. Once the input is planned, the process has to be controlled. That is where the process metrics, which is what we discussed. Okay. If you control input and the process, output has to happen, no?
Yes.
What, Robin?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
That's it. Done. This is all there is. And this is what we did. Okay. So the key thing that we did in this case, I mean, this is all. This is the end of the case study. Okay. There's nothing more in the case. So to give you a full idea picture of what I did there is this, right? So I told them 2 per person has to convert. Anytime you finish 2, you can go home. First incentive. Second incentive, saying every 2 hours, and then I will also look at whether you have spoken for 6 hours. If you're not spoken for 6 hours, then I have a problem. That's where the penalty kicks in. Okay. Sales skill conversion is not a level, is not the incentive, it's not a metric for conversion per person is not a metric for the agent. It is a metric for the TL. So if you have people who are low on conversion, what are you doing about it? So that's the right place where it needs to be there. So that's what I did. Okay. But before doing all this, I fixed the input, which is where that ML model I got built. Okay. So I used to get from sales what are the leads and which projects have to be prioritized, where is which projects have higher pricing and things like that. I get a priority list of projects from the sales team. Okay. Then there is an analyst who runs through it and then gives me these are the projects and these many leads I need tomorrow to make this much money. Okay, every day. So there is I was a COO, so I'm answerable for the revenue for the month. The board grills me at the end of the month and saying how much revenue made, why you are not made. So I have a revenue target. I break the revenue target by day. Okay, so every day there is a revenue target. To hit that revenue target, I know how many leads have to be converted. For that, how many leads to be converted, how many input needs to be there, and what input needs to be there has to come, as in what leads have to be called. That comes from the ML model. Then the team is fixed like this, the way I spoke about now. Okay. And this is the design. Now, once you have the design and you start implementing, teach everybody. First, you have to get the thinking design clear, communicate it, and then start executing. Will it fall in place on the first day? No. Will it fall in place in the first week? No. It might take, for me, it took 8 weeks, 2 to 2.5 months. Third month onwards, we were hitting 1,000 leads every week. 1,000 leads a week at 1,000 rupees is what? How much is it? 10 lakhs?
10 lakhs. Yes.
10 lakh revenue from one team. Then we increase the team. Right? So that's how you scale. That's how you scale. So there is a online revenue that comes. There are other revenue streams, but just the calling team revenue was 10 lakhs with 20 people, 10 lakhs per week with 20 people. That's a good margin business, no? High margin business, no? Which was actually running at how much? 1/5 of that. About 2 lakhs. From there to 10 lakhs. That is the impact that an ops guy can make. Okay. And when you start making this kind of impact, you can actually not just become a CXO, you can even become like me. Today, I pick which project I want to do, and I own my own time, and I consult people, and I make as much as I used to make when I was a COO. That freedom you get, and I'm showing you the potential to which you can go. So that's the thing for today. So